want to thank everyone for attending our end user training for Snom and our PREMHost CloudPBX. So as I said, this will be the end user training. This is specifically tailored for the Snom M58 wireless system. So let's jump into it. First thing that's important is that everyone who has voicemail set up their voicemail can do so by pressing the message button on your phone. Once you've done so, you'll be prompted to enter your personal identification number and the pound sign. Your PIN was sent to you in your welcome email from Digital Future. So please make sure to check your spam folder just in case the email was identified as spam. After you enter your PIN, dial 9 to go to options, and then follow the following process. Most importantly, dial 5 to record what the system refers to as your self-identification message, which is just the recording of your first and last name. We also suggest that you go on from there to dial number 8 to change your greeting message from the default generic message to a personalized message. We strongly encourage this because the greeting that is the default greeting is completely generic, doesn't provide your extension information, and most people will hang up without leaving a message. Also, it's important that you complete the self-identification message, because if you don't, you won't be searchable in the search by name directory in the auto attendant. First thing I want to go through is to give you some detailed instructions on how to change the ringtone on the Snom M58, because the default ringtone is unappealing, to say the least. So please follow these steps. First of all, select the settings button. After selecting the settings button, you'll be presented with 6 options. Pre-select audio. You can select audio or any of the other options by using the up and down and left and right cursor control. And then you can also press the center button or the check mark next to it to confirm. Then after selecting audio, select ringers. After ringers, select ringer tone. When you select ringer tone, you'll be presented with these 3 options. We're going to explain in more detail what these 3 options mean. They'll be identical to these 3 options, except for the third one, which is just your extension name. So it's the actual customized name of your extension. When you make the first selection for intercom, you'll see a list of 10 tones from 1 through 10. So to differentiate the intercom call from the other 2, the intercom call is a call that's made by pressing one of the buttons on the phone that's assigned to a user that initiates a call from your phone to that user's phone. And so you can uniquely identify those calls by setting a ringer that is associated with those intercom calls. Our recommendation is that you select tone 7. After you selected that tone, you'll select set and then select back. When you select back, you'll be returned to the 3 initial option choices. So for the next option selection, that's your line selection. Line is for all inbound calls to your main number. So there are 5 line buttons, numbered line 1 through 5. So you'll want to have a distinct ringtone for all the calls that ring into the main number and that ring at all of the extensions on the system. One that we recommend for line is tone 3. We'll select tone 3, then select set again and back, and you're good to go. On to selecting the ringtone for your specific extension. This means that any call, internal or external, that is directed to your extension exclusively will have this ringtone. The ringtone we recommend is tone 4. Again, you go to set and select it, select back, and you're done. So now let's go on to some more detailed information on the M58 desktop phone. Let's talk about the Snom M58 button usage. You'll notice that the phone is separated into 2 primary sections. The top section, which is the main display, and has the programmable buttons plus these soft buttons at the bottom of the display, and then the hard-coded button area with the keypad, cursor controls, etc. We have labeled each of the buttons to make it easier for you to get used to the icons that are used. But let's quickly go through them. So the settings button we've already covered, takes you to the main settings page. The OK button, or the check mark, and the cancel button, or the X, those can be used for selecting or backing out of whatever area you are currently in on the main display. There's, of course, the voicemail button. This is your hard-coded transfer button. The intercom button, which we'll go into more detail on, your hold, and your mute button for muting any microphone that's currently in use. Your volume button, which controls the volume of your ringtone when the phone is idle. It also controls the volume of the speakerphone, as well as the handset when you're on a phone call. Directory is currently not in use, but we can have contacts added to your directory for selection. The redial button just simply redials the last call that was dialed on the keypad of the phone. The history button will provide you with an overview of all of the history at the phone, including missed calls, outbound calls, inbound calls, and then all calls. If you have a headset that you use that's connected to the phone, the headset button allows you to enable the use of the headset. And then, of course, the speakerphone, the speaker button, which turns on the speaker on the phone and enables the microphone for use. So let's go to the talking about how the main display functions. There's a button in the lower right-hand corner of the main display area that we refer to as the next page button. That next page button allows you to cycle through virtual displays and change the labels on these buttons to be associated with some of the user information on the system and allow you to easily select them. So it's important to understand that by pressing that next page button, it'll take you down from the main page, page 1, through to page 2 and 3, and then cycle you back up again on the next, hitting the next page button again. So that means that when you're on the main page, you'll have access, of course, to all 5 line buttons. And then typically you're going to see Dr. Hutton, the reception main 306, and reception Christine. You can select any of those buttons when the phone is idle to make an intercom call directly to the extensions, and then you can cycle through using next page to get to any of the others. Dialing from the phone, you don't need to dial a 9 if you've had to in the past to get trunk access. And we'll talk about how that dialing works in a later page. Dialing is very easy on the phone. You can, if you are dialing a local number, you can just dial 7 digits. Or if you prefer, you can dial 1 plus the area code and the 7-digit number, or just the area code and the 7-digit number for local or long distance. And for international, you will start each call by dialing 011. For internal extension dialing, you can just dial any 3-digit extension to call any other extension at any site. Okay, so 2 types of dialing on this system. First is the intercom. As I've already mentioned, if you select a labeled phone that's labeled for one of the extensions on the system, it will generate an intercom call. An intercom call is different from a standard call to another extension or an external call to an outside party. The intercom call doesn't function the same way as a normal call. It actually requires, doesn't allow you to put that call on hold. And we'll go through that in more detail. Paging, which is important for most medical offices, is initiated by selecting the intercom/page button that's circled. After you have selected that page button, you will see, that intercom button, you will see one of these, all of these 4 soft buttons change. One of them will be labeled with the word page. You'll select page. The display will change and show you a list of paging groups. In your case, currently, there are 3 paging groups set up on the system. There's Suite 707, Suite 306 and 309, and Page All. So you select whichever desired page group you want to page to, wait for the tone, make your announcement, and then hang up the handset or press end. To make an internal or intercom call in more detail, you would press the button programmed for that user on the main display. If the program button for the required user is not displayed, select the next page button to cycle through the other 2 pages until you find the appropriate button. You then make that internal call by selecting the programmable button, and the system then makes an intercom call. Intercom calls, as I said, cannot be put on hold. They can only be terminated. To make a non-intercom call to another extension that can be put on hold, simply dial that extension's number rather than pressing one of the program buttons on the main display. To make an outbound call, very simple to make outbound calls on these phones. You simply dial the number on the phone keypad. You don't have to pick up the handset or press the speaker button. You can just begin dialing just like you would on a mobile phone. Once you've completed entering the number, you can just press the dial soft button that's circled at the bottom of the display to dial the number. You can also just pick up the handset and it'll automatically dial the number. So let's go to answering calls. To answer a call on the system, in other words, an inbound call to your main number, you can lift the handset from its cradle. It'll automatically, the handset Lifting the handset will cause the system to automatically answer whatever call is ringing at your extension. Or you can press the answer button, or you can press the green flashing line button. Pressing the answer or green flashing line button will cause the speakerphone to be enabled at your extension. Now, your options once a call has been answered, when you have that live call at your extension, you can, as you can see, you have 4 soft button options: transfer, conference, hold, and end. You can press the transfer soft button to begin the process of transferring that call to another extension on the system. You can press the conference button to initiate a 3-way conference. You can press the hold button, which will place that call that's on one of the line buttons on hold. Or you can press the end button to end the call. So now let's look at live call management. Calls on hold in the system will always display a red LED on the button, and the handset icon will change to red. That will be on all phones on the system. To place a call on hold, press the hold soft button or the hard-coded hold button next to the keypad. To place a live call on hold and switch to another call on hold, simply press the button of the call on hold and the live call will automatically be placed on hold and the call on hold will become live. So you don't have to actually use the hold button in order to switch between calls that are on hold or live or that are ringing. You just simply have to press the appropriate program button next to the call. So as an example, you're on a live call here. The button is green. You're speaking to that caller. You need to put them on hold briefly and pick up the call on line 1. All you have to do is press this button next to the call on line 1. It will automatically put the call on line 2 on hold and answer and make the call on line 1 live. And you can go back and forth using just that simple method. If, on the other hand, a new call is ringing inbound while you're on a live call, you can simply press the button for the line that live call is ringing in on, and it will automatically put the live call that you are currently on hold and answer the new inbound call. And of course, you can use the hold button during a live call and then select the button of a held or inbound call to answer it. Transferring calls. Typically, you'll transfer calls to another extension if you either want to, of course, have the user at that extension have the opportunity to take the call without using one of the line buttons so that call will be private, or because you want to send that caller to the user's voicemail. So while you're on live call, you'll press the transfer button. And when the transfer button is pressed, the transfer to screen will display. You will, to make a blind transfer, which is a transfer that just is immediately sent to the target extension, rings at the target extension, and is either answered by the user at that extension or is answered by their voicemail. You press the transfer button, enter the 3-digit extension number of the target extension, and then press transfer again. To make an announced transfer, you'll press the transfer soft button, but instead of pressing entering the extension number and pressing transfer, you'll enter the extension number and press the dial soft button. It will also show up down here. That will dial the extension number while putting the caller on hold. You'll be able to speak to the user at that extension. And if they want to take the transferred call, you would press set transfer soft button, and it'll transfer the call to that extension. Conference calls. While you're on live call, you can initiate a conference by pressing the conference button. You would then enter the number of the extension or the external number that you want to conference in and press dial. Once you've pressed dial and the third party answers, you press the conference button once again, and all parties will be added to the three-way conference call. Pretty simple to do. Now, if the third party doesn't answer, you can simply press end to end that second leg of the call. Once you've pressed end, the soft button, one of the soft buttons will change to resume. You can press the resume button to resume the call with the original party and speak to them about options. That's it for this particular training. It's important for you to know how to receive support from Digital Future. The easiest way is to sign up on our portal by going to the displayed link. You'll just be asked to enter your email address and create a password. The nice thing about doing so is that you'll be able to track any help desk ticket that you've submitted, but even better than that is you'll be able to have an interactive web chat with our technicians once you log in, so that you can ask simple questions that that you would like to have an immediate answer to. It's very convenient, and you'll find that we're very responsive. Lastly, you can simply send an email to support@dfcloudpbx.com, and it will automatically be entered into our help desk system. You'll receive a response back from the system, and one of our technicians will pick it up very quickly and respond with either a solution or more questions. Well, thank you very much. I hope this has been useful, and we look forward to the implementation.